Well, hello, everybody, and pardon me. Thank you so much for coming today. Today is no formal new material being covered. We have finished up the first half of the class leading into the midterm, but we do have a few things to discuss before we tackle the reviews. The first thing, tonight, the graphing assignment is to be turned in. So 3 graphs and the questions. Again, the graphs, I just want to remind you that the y-axis of the graph is depth, and you should start with 0 in the upper left-hand corner for depth, because depth would be a negative y. You do not have to put the negative signs, but it is depth. The ranges for the density is going to be in decimals. Now, don't let those decimals scare you. People look at it, and I had a few students ask if they should round off. Now, those decimals are what actually makes density different, the significance of them, because it's all in a very narrow range. So if you can imagine that decimal is a comma and just treat it as whole numbers, but keep it a decimal, obviously, but just imagine them as whole numbers, you can graph it that way. Just pretend that they're whole numbers, and your range would be from 1 to 3. And then that would be how you would want to set up the graph in that manner. So there are 3 graphs, and there are questions that are to be done along with those graphs. So please remember that. That is due tonight. I did have a student text me in the chat that they're struggling a little bit with the graphs. If that student wants to stay after the Q&A session here, I'll be happy to address any questions if I can. I did run through the whole thing in a pre-lab, but I'd be happy to address any questions if I can regarding that. She could stay after we go through this stuff here. Now, you won't be graphing like that on the midterm, so you can breathe a sigh of relief. That is an oceanography lab, not a midterm type question. So let's just put that to rest right now. There may be essays on the midterm, so that is fair game. Multiple choice and essay type questions. I would expect a test not to just be multiple choice, that is a midterm, but have an essay or 2 associated with it. Before we go to the midterm review, let's take a quick look at the assignments that are due this next Wednesday. You know, tonight we have the graphing. Next Wednesday, you have your 3rd current event assignment. The current event assignment, I'd like to point out, each article should have 2 paragraphs associated with it, not 1. You guys have been doing a nice job on that, but I've noticed that sometimes folks just submit 1 paragraph. That paragraph is basically describing it, which is the first thing you should do, but then it doesn't, you don't submit the second, which is your take on it, your conclusion and experience, or your position, whatever. So a lot of people have been doing the first paragraph, but not the second. So please make sure that you have 2 paragraphs per article. But all in all, it's been nice. Now, this topic is why marine biologists are more concerned with ocean acidification than climate change. So that is true. I've looked at it through a lot of marine biologists and writings and attended lectures, and the fear is ocean acidification. So basically, you're going to be doing 2 articles dealing with ocean acidification. So that's it. Ocean acidification is your topic, and 2 articles reviewed and describing your position, conclusions, or what you learned from it. It can be anything. It just needs to be personal. So cover article 1, the science behind it, and then what you learned or your position or experience. Article 2, the science behind it and your stuff. And then 2 articles APA cited on the last page. Now I'm pretty lenient. I only dock you a few points here and there for literature because I understand it's confusing, just that the college wants proper citations. So I do make it one of the objectives, although a small percentage of points. So that is due next Wednesday, along with the quiz. And the quiz review was posted. Just to run through it really fast with you, atoms and elements. Remember, atoms are the smallest portion of an element, and molecules are the smallest portion of a compound. The subatomic particles, the proton, neutron, and electron, describe them, charges, location, atomic mass, just general information about them. The difference between an ionic bond, which would be the electron transfer, and a covalent bond would be sharing your outer shell. So compare and contrast these 2 types of bonding. Compare and contrast polar versus non-polar bonding, especially polar bonding, because water is so important. It's a polar molecule. So you want to really know your stuff when it comes to hydrogen bonding or polarity. Get familiar with the chloride, sodium, that chart that we've looked at, dissolved seawater, average salinity, 35 parts per thousand, pH of pure water, 7, ocean waters, about 8, 7.88. Buffers, remember those carbonates, they neutralize acids. Dissolved oxygen, where the ocean gets oxygen, we discussed how it gets it from a variety of sources, photosynthesis being number 1, but it's not the only thing. So through there, we did talk about heat energy and calories. So review that. Review salinity and how it changes. How would precipitation versus evaporation change salinity? Hydrogen bonding, we already mentioned. You really gotta give that some special attention because it's so important in oceanography. Remember the SOFAR, the speed of sound. Remember, sound travels faster in solids, second faster in liquids, and then last gases, and it won't travel in a vacuum. So Star Wars was fake. When the Death Star blew up, there was no explosion. It was in space. Sorry. Your layers of the ocean and describe each. Coriolis effect, we went through that last class with the spinning of the earth and how currents, everything's deflected to the right in the northern hemisphere. So around a low pressure, it's counterclockwise, and around a high pressure, it's clockwise. Cyclonic flow is around low pressure, so I already gave you the answer for that. Seasonality, remember the obliquity. The obliquity causes seasonality. Know your summer solstice, winter solstice, autumnal and vernal equinox, the dates, relative day length, things like that. Properties of water, difference in daily highs. Okay, temperature, yeah, that's thermostatic effects of water. So, you know, water has a high specific heat, so it moderates climate. Things don't get as hot or as cold like that. Obliquity or axial tilt. And then I already mentioned the important dates on Earth's trip around the sun. That is quiz 3's material. Any questions on quiz 3's material, the last module we finished up last class? Maria, we good? I see you on the screen. That's why I picked on you. You're right in my screen right now. You got this review, you understand it? Yes? Yay! All right, I saw her nod. The rest of you guys didn't, but I did, so we're good. All right. I see a couple things in the chat. Let's see what's going on. I'm aware you said to handwrite our assignment, if I remember correctly. Handwrite the midterm review, yes. The midterm review and the graphs have to be done on the graph paper, not computer generated. But you can type the answers. So the answers can be typed for the graph, but the objective is not to just input data into a computer and have it spit a graph out to you, but to learn and properly draw a graph, especially picking out the ranges and the spatial. I mean, if I were to draw it on, there is graph paper provided as far as the graphs go. There is graph paper, printable graph paper provided. Okay, let's move on to the midterm review. This needs to be handwritten. The midterm is multiple choice and does have essays. So, you know, this average salinity, we know that the average depth of the ocean, that was from our first unit, average temperature, pH and density of seawater, the ocean basins, and then the major ocean researching institutes, NOAA versus Scripps versus Woods Hole. We also looked at the branches of oceanography, what a chemical oceanographer does, what a biological oceanographer does, what a physical or geological oceanographer does, and then the history, the archaeological. Looking here, you got the Big Bang, brief it. You have the nebular theory of solar system formation. And then the planets forming in that solar system formation through accretion. The oceans forming from precipitation and outgassing with some contributions. The moon from a large collision during the formation of the Earth. Now, Atlantic and Pacific basins, you guys did an entire handout on that. The Atlantic is the passive and the Pacific is the active. So Atlantic, you don't have margin changing, you have the ocean ridge and that's it, but you do have a lot of deposition around the margins. The Pacific, you have subduction zones with earthquakes and volcanoes and all kinds of excitement. When you look at the ocean floor, guyotes, seamounts, table mounts, they're all similar. So you have to describe them and their formation. The mid-ocean ridge system, those divergent boundaries that we looked at. The volcanic island arcs, or archipelagos as they're called, how they form, and the oceanic rises. That would be the continental rises at the foot of the shelf break. So review those terms. Largest reef system, that's pretty easy. I must have just gave you a freebie there because we all know that's the Great Barrier Reef in Australia, mates. And oh, look these scientists up. They're all from the text. So, I mean, I know we discussed Darwin and Wegener at length in class, but these are all mentioned in your historical oceanography reading. So go back and brief yourself on those. Boundaries. Plate boundaries are important. Remember, there's three: divergent, convergent, and transform. We went through a plate tectonics map. So go through the plate tectonic map and familiarize yourself with your convergent and divergent boundaries. Divergent is pretty easy because you know all the ocean ridge systems are divergent. Then you have, what do you have? You have the African Rift Valley on land. And so that's a land divergent boundary. We're starting to split there. Convergent, you know, you have your island arcs like Japan and the Aleutian Islands off the coast of Alaska for convergent, and the Andes Mountains for convergent. So go through that map and look at the different faults and kind of familiarize yourself with them. And also look at the seafloor and contrast the youngest, which are around ridges, and the oldest, which are at subduction zone, and the age of the ocean floor as well. Right in the same vein, you know, hot spots or mantle plumes. You know, when they happen out in the ocean, you get decent things like Hawaii and Iceland. When they happen under land, you get more volatile things like Yellowstone, supervolcanoes, for instance. Deep sea trenches, how they form, transform faults, mid-ocean ridge, island arc or archipelago, and that's how the true islands form. Island forms through convergence or hotspots. And of course, sedimentary, I don't know what the heavens that means. It might be sediments. It might just be a typo. We covered the sediments. So there you go with that. Deepest portions of the ocean are those trenches, how they form. Passive and active, we did a whole assignment on that. The natural gases, most common in gas hydrates, the methane hydrates. Most energy resources, petroleum, natural gases and petroleum. Each sediment type, the hydrogenous forms underwater through precipitation, cosmo from space, biogenous from life, and terragenous comes from the earth. Weathering, erosion, sediments, things like that. Deposition. Describe each as it relates to water. These all come from the hydrogen bonding, electron transfer, that's ionic bonding, electron sharing's covalent bonding, the viscosity, the resistance or ability to flow, polarity, water is a polar covalent bond, and surface tension is the thin skin of water because of those hydrogen bonds. How does each change the property of water? Evaporation, melting, condensation, and freezing. So evaporation happens at the surface. Melting would be that latent heat of fusion, adding that. Remember the graph of the water. Condensation would be the opposite of the boiling. So you're actually losing energy, the heat of vaporization. And then the freezing of water would be the opposite of the melting. It's positive heat of latent heat of fusion. A little caveat to that, I would add salinity to those because the salt interferes with the hydrogen bonding. So salt makes it easier for it to, because the hydrogen bonding is disrupted, so it makes evaporation a little easier and makes freezing a little more difficult, lowers freezing point just a tad. With the layers of the ocean, we went pretty in depth into the pycnocline, halocline, thermocline, which all occur in the midwaters. So review that. Dissolved solids account for the majority of seawater. This seems like we've repeated that, but that chart might be more than one questions on dissolved ions. What powers tropical cyclones? Those low pressure systems. Basically the uneven heating of the earth. Also, know your global winds, that diagram that we went through last class. The ITCZ is also referred to as the doldrums. And then you have the trade winds from just above the doldrums, so not quite 0 degrees, but a little above 0 degrees or below, to 30. And then you have the subtropics, which is that climate zone associated with the trade winds, the subtropical jet stream, and then the polar jet stream. So go through the global wind belts. Also, we've had discussion forums. They will be on the test. So go through and rewatch your TED Talks. I would say I have essay questions on the TED Talks. So rewatch your TED Talks to get yourself ready for the essays. Also for the essays, you should be able to draw the ocean. Now you're not going to have to draw it on the test by hand because it's on the computer. But if you're able to draw the oceans, the topography of the Atlantic and Pacific floor, global wind belts, the heating curve of water, which is it looks like the little stair step, and the types of faults, any of these are fair game for essay questions. So the multiple choice questions are from here on up. The essay questions will be on TED Talks, layers of the ocean, differences between the Atlantic and Pacific floors, global wind belts, heating curve of water, and or the types of faults. So a little bit about the midterm. It is a 90-minute test. Those who have accommodations, your accommodations are programmed in. So ignore the, you'll have a little time clock and all. It is multiple choice and then essays. So there's 2 parts to it. This, which has to be in your handwriting, but I basically went through and briefed you on most of them. It still doesn't spare you from going through and writing it out and submitting it to the Dropbox, is your study guide. So this is the information. It's not word for word. I mean, I can't just print out a test and give it to you. But as I went through the test, I looked at the topics of each question and I made sure every topic is listed in this review. So basically you're making a study guide and then you're turning in the study guide for points. It's my free point bribery to get you to study the correct material and do the time it takes to on the midterm. So this is due, I'm going to say, turn it in before you do the midterm, so I know you studied, but this and the midterm open until the 13th of October. So basically, the formal part of Unit 1 is done. Is there not able to print right now. Can I draw it? No, you have to do it on graph paper. So the graphs have to be done on graph paper. You can take a picture of it with your phone and turn it in that way. But, yeah, I'm not exactly sure what you're asking. You can go to the drugstore and buy graph paper if that helps. It's not that expensive, but it has to be handwritten graphs on graph paper. And if your printer's down, Walgreens or whatever will have graph paper, but it has to be done. A nice, neat graph needs to be turned in. Are the questions?
Sorry, where these questions with graph?
Hold on. I'm answering other people right now. You got graph paper, not notebook paper, because I want it to be neat and scientific. It's a lab assignment. Are the essay questions going to be like multiple paragraphs? If that's what it takes to answer it at a college level and show me all the knowledge you have on it, then multiple paragraphs is great. I don't really think I'm going to look at a word count on an essay. I'm going to look at the quality and knowledge that you show me. So that's basically how I'm going to go through an essay. You explain to me the main points. I go, hey, he or she knows her stuff, full credit. Or you give me 2 sentences and I'm like, so, that's what I got for that. Now, Maria, you had something?
Yes, at first about video. We need to watch free video and then write essay.
I'm not telling you what the essay is. It's based on the discussion that you've done watching those videos. But I'm not going to tell you what the essays are. I'm going to tell you they're based on those videos. So go ahead and review them.
Okay.
Okay.
And where a graph? What are the questions?
That's the assignment due tonight. She has a question on the assignment due tonight.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? Carson, you're going to get an A?
I don't know. Maybe.
Just say yes. Yeah.
Yes.
No, I really think that you guys are set up for success here. Your study guides and all. Are there any other questions? I have a whole bunch of people on the line, and I would really to address questions right now before I give a dismissal. Jalen, I see you've unmuted. Can I help you?
It's about the assignment that's due tonight.
Okay, shoot.
What do we have to do on the graph papers? I mean, like,
I know draw the 3 graphs.
Yeah.
You have each graph has a set of instructions with it, and I went through and made a video and dedicated an entire class on how to draw the graphs.
is the video on my courses?
It is on my courses. It's called pre-lab video, something along those lines. We did it last Monday. Was it last Monday? A week ago today. So last Wednesday.
Okay.
Carson, you've unmuted?
Yeah, I had a question about the midterm. So
Sure.
when we're ready to take it, we just take it before October 13th, or
Yes.
do we? Okay.
Anytime before October 13th, I've gone through the review. I've taught you all the material. As soon as you're done writing the review and it's fresh in your head, jump on it and get it done.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. Adrian,
Yes.
you were unmuted. Did you have a question?
Oh, no, I didn't mean to unmute. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Alexa.
Yes. So the graph paper you used in our last Zoom, you spaced everything out by 10 squares. But the graph paper I have, I can only space it out by 5 squares. Is that going to mess anything up?
Not if you put the points right and estimate the distances correctly, it'll just
Okay.
get a little smaller, but
Okay.
as long as you're consistent, your graph will just be smaller but correct.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
Jalen, you had another question.
No, sir.
Okay, great.
And I have one more question.
Sure.
Midterm review. We have to answer the questions and submit to Dropbox.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I would say good luck to everybody. I am at your disposal via email. You do have my text number. Make sure if you have an emergency and you need to text to me, you include your name and oceanography so I can hunt down the problem online. I don't have anyone's phone number memorized, so it only comes up a phone number. Also, when using Honor Lock, they are strict, so cell phones got to be away. If you pull your cell phone out, even if it's to check a text and not cheat, you're going to get flagged for cheating. And unfortunately, I have to go with what the proctor says. Not that I won't ask questions, but I had a young lady got a text in the middle of a test, checked it, wound up having to take a 0 for it because the college is very clear that there's no phone use during exams. And I believe she wasn't cheating, but my hands are tied. I have to go by the same set of rules for everybody. So just make sure that your cell phone's in another room. It's only 90 minutes and that you don't have anyone come in and out of the room because they have the little camera thing on there. And they look for that. But beyond that, good luck to everybody. And shoot me any emails or a text if you run into problems. Good luck and thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thanks.
Have a great and good luck. Good luck. All right, Janisa. You there, Janisa?
Hi.
Hi. Okay, you had a couple questions on the
Yeah.
lab? Or yeah, on the lab, yes.
Okay, so the way that I graphed it is that I did it for the first graph, I did it by hundreds for the depth.
Let me have it. Can you hold it up? Let me make you big. And I will, there we go. Okay, there you are. And I see your depth. That looks good.
Okay,
Is your density?
right here.
Yeah, that looks good. You turn it up the other way and that's how it's supposed to look. Yeah, you did a good job with that one. I would give you full credit for that.
Okay. Okay, I just wanted to make sure because I didn't know if I had put the numbers right because I went by hundreds for the depth and then I did certain decimal points for the density. So I was just making sure.
Oh, I looked at the graph. That was a nice smooth curve. It showed where the pick line was. You got your distinct water masses. It was a good job.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Is that all?
Yeah,
Perfect. I love it when it's easy. Thank you so much and good luck on your tests.
thank you. I appreciate it.
Have a great day.
You too.
David, are you there?
I'm here.
Can I help you? You're the last of the students.
I think I'm up to speed. I'm not going to be fully participating as an audit, but I'm working hard on the review. And I am interested in getting the right answers for my own benefit.
Okay.
But, if I have any questions, you've got a phone number.
Yeah. Shoot me a text.
Okay, we got a little time to wrap things up.
Yes, we do.
When I
Make
focus.
sure you
Thank
put your
very
name
much.
on the text so I know who it is.
I will. Thanks very much.
No problem. Have a great day.